Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. Yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. Yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. Yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show. Yeah.
Hey everyone, it's Matthew. Before we begin this week's show, I just want to introduce this week's sponsor, Metacast Group. Metacast Group connects companies with creators in the NFT space through a network of NFT and metaverse-focused content creators and influencers. Hear or see your ad on shows just like the Matthew and Rizzle show to amplify your reach, connect with your target audience, promote your project, and convert views into action. If you're interested in this, reach out at metaversegroup.com or follow us on Twitter at MetacastGroup. Thank you, and please enjoy the show. Okay, Jeremy, welcome to the Matthew and Rizzle show.
Thank you guys for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, and to get started, I think a great place to begin would be just introducing yourself, telling us what you've been doing creatively up until this point, and then we can get into the interesting intersection of your creative past and NFT present and the tech future.
Love it. Yeah, I've been a photographer for the last about 16 years. It's been a good solid decade, doing the celebrity portrait world, shooting everybody from, the Kardashians to Taylor Swift to President Obama to the Pope to, very, very long list of celebrities. Did the Hollywood thing for a while. I had an agent out there. And so, mostly portraits, a lot of album covers. And then I've also done quite a bit of humanitarian work around the world, shooting in countries and working with nonprofits, started my own nonprofit. I've developed apps. I've kind of had my hands on a lot of things over the years. At the core, I'm really a fine artist. I started in painting and illustration, and then I became a graphic designer for years, about 7 years. Then a web designer for a while, and that was before I switched to photography, which really blew up right away. And then I'm even more all over the place because now I'm actually the founder of a new hotel chain coming to market in the near future. But I think my future is hotels and digital art. Those two things are what I'm most passionate about.
That's quite like the string of projects, accomplishments, and some like the sickest name drops in like the first 5 minutes of our podcast that I think has ever occurred up until this point. Dude, we had an awesome call, a couple of weeks ago talking about some of the forays and strides you're making into the NFT space, but you've also got a lot of really cool stuff going on with this hotel project, which was very inspiring to me. You got, what is apparently some really revolutionary shit coming up in the photography world with some of the stuff that you're working on. What is your main focus these days, and how does that sort of cross over into the world that Matt and I sort of live in with crypto and NFTs and stuff?
Yeah, it's interesting because I've never felt at home in the photo world, even though I had major success in that industry. It always felt still a little bit foreign to me because I'm such a true artist, painter at heart, and the photo world is just more commercial. But then for the fine art world, I've always been too digital and too commercial. And so, I'll admit that, usually I'm an early adapter with technology. I was always, I was on Twitter the first month it launched, on Instagram the first month it launched. I'm very early adapter, but I've been way behind the ball and way late to the game when it comes to NFTs. Honestly, I just was intimidated by it all, so I didn't pay much attention. But of course, when the Beeple news hit in March or so, that got everybody's attention. But even then, I was still like a bit skeptical. And but then as I started to see my colleagues, start to take it seriously, I was like, all right, well, if they're taking it seriously, I'll start paying more attention. But then something crazy happened. As I started to, basically I've always just been fascinated by the still image, whether it's a Picasso painting or a photograph. I've just never been interested in anything motion related or video. But something about NFTs for the first time really made me start going, well, what if I did bring motion to my portraits? And it was like opening a Pandora's box for me, that thought, because my creativity since then has been nothing like I've ever experienced in my career before. Because the idea flow, the work, the just the flow, man, it's been nuts for 2 months straight. Like I can't go at the pace of my ideas. I wish I could. I want to duplicate myself 5 times over just to get all the ideas done. So something is clicking. All that to say, the NFT space feels like a homecoming of sorts for me. It's like, finally, something that really does make sense for me as an artist, because it marries digital with the fine art world, which I love both.
100%. A lot of artists that come into the NFT space experience this explosion of inspiration
and
just
solid rabbit
output.
hole story right there, right?
Yeah. It really is amazing, and just like the collaborative synergies that kind of open up and are unlocked by coming in this space with everyone else that's already here and excited. It really is a very special moment in creative time in the artistic timeline of mankind. It's really ridiculous.
I agree completely. And I know this has been around for years, but something, it just feels like a new era, definitely for me. I mean, I'm 44 years old now, and I feel like I'm way, way, way at the top of my game in terms of just creativity and idea flow. I've never experienced this. And so, yeah, something is in the water for sure. It's really, really exciting.
Yeah, but I do have to ask, because this is one of the questions that I've kind of asked myself, looking at the space that is, and especially as of recently, kind of has been flooded with 3D artists, things like that. I was speaking with an OG crypto artist, Cody, a couple weeks back, and we're just like, why aren't there more photographers in this space? There's a couple, right? I know I've worked with Nate Hill Photography, based in Australia. He does a lot of he'll take scenes, he'll zoom in on them and have this really wicked motion that he overlays on top of it. There's folks like Nick Delaney and now yourself, right, that have popped in this space, but they haven't really blown up to the point of some of the other folks, like Beeple, throwing that out there. But I'm just curious, in your perspective, why hasn't high quality blue chip photography blown up in the same way? Or is it just a time thing, as some of the other 3D art has?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I've definitely seen a few do fairly well. A few of my colleagues are on Foundation, and they're doing pretty well. But I also think and understand how a lot of the NFT space is quite skeptical, because everybody's trying to jump on board and cash in, blah blah blah, and it just seems not genuine. And so I don't think it's working. I've even seen a lot of my colleagues just jump on the platform and throw up a bunch of old photos that they own, but it just seems like a cash grab. It doesn't seem like they're really interested, whereas for me, yeah, I've got millions of photos that are phenomenal and that I've shot over the past decade, but I don't want to enter this space just like randomly throwing old crap up there to make money. Like I take it very seriously from an artistic standpoint. And I think it's important that we all do it. Like the first drop has to be something remarkable, it has to be next level for the artist. And so that's why I haven't just jumped in and tried something. Like I'm really, really putting insane amounts of effort into this. In fact, where, it even forced me to invent something that's never been done before. And so I don't know, maybe to answer your question, I just think it's just not a genuine effort for a lot of photographers. It just seems like a side thing they do. Oh yeah, I'll just throw up some old crap on, a platform and see what happens. So maybe that's why.
Dude, I feel like that's a fairly solid observation. I think there's like a lot of people and artists and, even like digital artists who have made their way done fairly well for themselves on Instagram that have like a backlog of stuff. And they're like, finally, the opportunity to monetize has arrived. Dump, like throw it all out there as much as humanly possible. Yeah. And I mean, honestly, man, if I was sitting on like a backlog of, millions of incredible photos, I feel like the temptation would be there for a lot of people just to sort of start throwing some stuff out there and seeing what happens. What has prevented you from just like taking a shot, just throwing something out there? I mean, is it really just like you feel like you got to stick the landing with this Genesis drop? And then, dude, I mean, Matt hasn't been given as much information as I have about what you're working on. So maybe this would be like a cool segue to, sort of give the audience a hint of what you're cooking up over there.
Yes, please.
Yeah, man, it's really exciting. I'm sitting right now in my studio outside of Nashville, Tennessee, and it's a big studio, and I have just unbelievable amounts of cool gear that I get to play with every day because I'm an ambassador for, Canon, an ambassador for Pro Photo, so I get all this just ridiculous gear that I'm able to, experiment with day after day after day. So I've poured thousands of hours over the last decade into experimenting in the studio because digital is amazing, but it also gets really, really boring because it's so reliable and it's so consistent that, I tend to check out and get ADD. And so to keep it interesting, I have to keep pushing the limits of what's possible. And so in my pushing and in my experimentation, I am, over the last 2 months, I've realized that this technique I've been doing for years and years was just a couple of steps away from truly being a new form of media altogether. And so I know the audience wouldn't see it, but can I screen share as we're talking with y'all to show you a couple things?
Yes.
All right, let me do that. So you guys will be able to
give the audience like substantial FOMO right now.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm about to pull up. Just pull up a website. All right, so I'm going to share with y'all what I'm up to. So hopefully you can see my screen right now.
Yeah.
So I've invented this thing called a lithograph. A lithograph is a way to push light through a still photo, which has somehow never been done before, ever. Like no one in Hollywood has figured this out, no Marvel Comics, nobody. Like I think Harry Potter world figured it out with CG and trickery, but I've actually figured this out through analog techniques without using any 3D software.
Oh my God. Again, I have to read this. It's not a motion picture because there's no motion. It's not a photograph because the light evolves. What the F?
Seriously. Yeah. Dude, this is just like the beginning, man. Wait till you see like some of the iterations that he's like done, based on this concept. It gets like deeper.
Holy F.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. So yeah, it truly is it's a video file of a still photo, and the only motion is the actual lighting, evolving through the image and the background. And so you'll see the backgrounds change as well. And it's never been done before. And so I can't believe that through all my, thousands of hours of just playing around, I kind of stumbled upon something that, so imagine in the future, like